The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Admiral Zixthera's tentacles writhed in barely contained rage. The holographic display showed the impossible. 17 Kethran battleships, pride of the Empire's fleet, reduced to drifting debris in the span of mere minutes. How? The word escaped from her translator as a harsh mechanical rasp. How did the humans accomplish this? Captain Emma Rodriguez stood at the center of the council floor, her weathered face betraying nothing as she faced down representatives from a dozen species. Behind her, Commander David Chen remained at attention, his uniform pristine despite having just returned from the battlefield that had changed everything. You want to know how we did it? Emma's voice carried across the vast chamber without amplification. You want to understand why your invincible empire is crumbling? The Velthari delegate, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into prismatic patterns, leaned forward. The humans were supposed to be a primitive species. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your numbers are insignificant compared to the Empire's might. Emma smiled, a cold, predatory expression that made several delegates shift uncomfortably. That's where you made your first mistake. You looked at our ships, our weapons, our technology, and you thought you understood humanity. David stepped forward, activating a holographic projector. The display showed Earth, blue and green and utterly ordinary by galactic standards. For millennia, David began, his voice steady and clinical. Every species in this galaxy has fought the same way. Bigger ships, more powerful weapons, superior technology. You conquered through overwhelming force. And it worked, admitted Counselor Thane, the reptilian leader of the Outer Rim territories. Until now, Emma nodded. Because you never encountered a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history at war with itself. The hologram shifted, showing humanity's bloody history, ancient battles, world wars, the endless cycle of conflict and innovation that had defined their species. While you were building empires through technological superiority, Emma continued, we were learning that wars aren't won by the strongest army. They're won by the army that adapts fastest. Admiral Zixthera's tentacles coiled tighter. Your ships were outnumbered 50-1. Our shields should have stopped our plasma cannons? David interrupted. They did. Our first volley was completely absorbed by your defenses. The Velthari delegate's form brightened with confusion. Then how? Because the first volley wasn't meant to damage your ships, Emma said. It was meant to analyze them. The hologram changed again, showing the tactical display from the battle. The human fleet, tiny by comparison, split into seemingly random formations as the Empire's massive vessels moved to engage. Every shot you fired, every shield frequency you used, every tactical pattern you employed, David explained. Our ships were learning, adapting, evolving. Impossible, Zixthera hissed. No computer system can process that much data in real time. You're right, Emma said quietly. No computer system can. But 15 billion human minds networked through quantum consciousness bridges, processing tactical data as a collective intelligence, that's something else entirely. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Several delegates had gone completely still, their species equivalent of shock. You turned your entire species into a single military mind, Thane breathed. Not just for that battle, David corrected. For every battle we've ever fought, every human who ever lived, every lesson learned in conflict, every tactical innovation born from desperation, all of it accessible in real time to every human commander. Emma walked to the viewing port, gazing out at the stars. You see, the Empire made a fundamental error. You assumed that because we were individually weak, we were collectively weak. You thought our greatest weakness was our tendency toward conflict. She turned back to the assembled delegates. It was actually our greatest strength. The hologram now showed the aftermath of the battle, not just the destruction of the Kethran fleet, but the cascading effect across the Empire. Rebellions on a dozen worlds, Imperial fleets defecting, the carefully constructed order of millennia crumbling in mere days. This is what you unleashed when you attacked Earth, Emma said. Not just humanity's military might, but our gift for inspiring others to fight for their freedom. Counselor Thane leaned back in his seat. The Empire's client species are rising. They learned from watching us, David added. They realized that superior technology means nothing against the will to be free. Admiral Zixthera's form seemed to deflate. What do you want? Terms for surrender? Emma shook her head. We don't want your surrender. We want your transformation. The age of conquest through superior firepower is over, David announced. Humanity is offering something different, an alliance based on mutual respect and shared defense. And if we refuse? The Velthari delegate's voice carried undertones of fear. Emma's smile returned, but this time it held warmth instead of menace. Then you'll face the same choice your empire gave us. Adapt or become irrelevant. As the council session ended and delegates filed out in hushed conversations, David approached Emma at the viewing port. Think they'll accept? He asked. Emma watched a formation of human ships pass by, small, unremarkable vessels that had just changed the balance of galactic power forever. They will, she said confidently, because they've finally learned what we've always known. The strongest army isn't the one with the biggest guns. It's the one that never stops learning how to win. In the distance, more fleets were gathering, not just human ships now, but vessels from dozens of species who had decided that freedom was worth fighting for. The Empire trembled not because humanity had found its true army, but because that army was growing with every world that chose hope over submission. The age of human dominance hadn't begun. The age of collaborative liberation had.